Hello, and welcome to another Agents of Impact podcast from Impact Alpha.
We're able to deliver both outsized impact and financial returns to our LPs because we are focusing on a massive segment of the market.
That's Yigal Kerszenbaum, managing partner and a founder of JFF Ventures, the for-profit impact investing arm of the national nonprofit Jobs for the Future. I'm David Bank, founder and editor of Impact Alpha, investment news for a sustainable edge. Our conversations with agents of impact span the landscape of impact investing and sustainable finance, from institutional investors to foundations, families, and fund managers, to everyday retail investors, and of course, to founders and entrepreneurs. Yigal and I discussed how impact investments can help grow companies that improve the lives of low-income workers, and how to capitalize and support the growing number of Americans starting their own small businesses. To get all of our Agents of Impact podcasts, our weekly impact briefing, and the many great voices on the Impact Alpha podcasting network, go to impactalpha.com/podcasts. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter, Impact Alpha Open. Let's jump in. Hi, Yigal. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, David. Great to see you and excited to be on.
Hey, JFF Ventures, we've been tracking for a while, and I thought you'd be a perfect person to kind of probe this question of how can impact investors measurably and materially improve the lives of working people, essentially, and lower income people, and take some of the anxiety and insecurity out of people's financial situations. So that's the broad frame, and maybe just jump in and let us know how you're thinking about it.
The challenges are felt deeply for the low to moderate income earning adults in the country who have historically been left out of education and quality jobs, and have never really been more vulnerable than at this moment, with macro uncertainty, technology innovation that is disrupting the way they work, their ability to access quality jobs, their ability to position themselves for growth. And so we see this as a really large challenge and problem, but also an opportunity. And that's why we built JFF Ventures to address.
Well, let's dig into it, because I know JFF Jobs for the Future, the parent nonprofit, has been on this for a long time, and it seems like a very worthy, people might think a very worthy nonprofit enterprise. You're trying to take it as a investable proposition, and you're trying to find investments that can make a dent in those kinds of problems. How do you do that?
Right. And so JFF, I work in partnership with JFF. It's a 40-year nonprofit. The evolution of technology and innovation has created a ripe moment for us to invest in technology companies that help upskill, train, connect low, middle wage earners into better jobs, but also while they're on the job, help them better succeed and grow, and to ultimately achieve economic mobility, which is the core focus of our work.
I'm always interested, because at the one hand you hear, stories like, AI is going to like eliminate all jobs and everybody's going to, there's not going to be any workers left. And then the other hand, you hear about all these areas that even now have, skill shortages and empty jobs fulfilled. So either there's, too many workers or not enough workers. And how do you sort that all out?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think there is often a mismatch with employer needs. So traditional workforce programs often focus on credentials over skills, leaving participants without specific in-demand competencies that employers need. And so employers are seeing a lack of supply, where workers are demanding and seeking jobs. And so you can kind of see that supply-demand gap. When in reality, we think that creates a real opportunity for better workforce training programs that are meeting the needs of both workers and employers.
And what do you tell workers now, about how they can kind of AI proof their future job security?
That's a great question. It depends where you are in the workforce, I guess. I'm not sure anyone has all of the answers quite yet on how AI will impact the way we work. Um, and so I don't pretend to know all the answers, but I do think that it's important that we learn within our current roles, how we are leveraging AI to improve better decision making, to reduce repetitive tasks, and to give us the skills that we need in order to grow our own careers. So part of the onus is on the individual themselves, but also certainly on training programs and employers who can provide access to a variety of different training programs leveraging AI.
Are you seeing the kind of there might be what folks might think of as like a high road AI and low road AI. Low road might be, replace all the workers, like I said, and there's even talk now of like AI employees. But the high road might be, augment workers. And in fact, some, people have talked about it actually being a boon maybe for lower skilled workers who now can get a boost with their AI companion that helps them, do, I don't know, math or calculations of some sort that was a challenge, and now you're able to be up and running in a higher level job with the help of an AI assistant. Might be a path to economic mobility. How do those strategies sort out?
Yeah, again, I think the technology is evolving so quickly that we don't 100% know. Certainly, AI agents are impacting roles very often. What we would consider, knowledge jobs or white collar workers, they're impacting them quite, directly, and may ultimately replace them. We've certainly seen a variety of different startups who are looking to fully replace product managers, for example. Um, and I'm not sure I kind of dreamed that up 2-3 years ago as a true possibility in the next 2 to 3 years, but that is something that is out there. Obviously, at JFF Ventures, we are looking for the higher road, as you put it, AI opportunities that are helping to, um, improve workflows for the certain segment of the population that we are focused on, that low to moderate income earners. Um, AI has the ability to personalize upskilling and training for those individuals. It has the ability to improve decision making, and so, we're really looking for companies that are vertically focused and integrated into the workflow itself, and helping workers become more efficient, and helping them grow within their roles, as opposed to replacing them.
Interesting. Well, there's also been a lot of talk particularly in the context of, tariffs and trade and things about onshoring jobs and restoring jobs in communities that have been hollowed out in some level by globalization or global trade. But are there pathways now to higher wage jobs for, in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly believe there are. And so we are investing in a variety of different technology solutions and companies that create those pathways for individuals. One of our more recent portfolio companies and investments is in a company called Pace AI. It's an end to end AI agent that serves ESL learners to fast track English language acquisition for technical training and essential skills. And so we have seen a variety of different solutions targeting English language learning from 0 to 1, but PACE is really looking for folks that have some English language comfort, but really specifically targeted with workforce content. And so when you think about nursing jobs, you need to have a real command of English language. And so PACE is able to help accelerate learning, accelerate the ability to get credentials, degrees within those pathways, and then ultimately help you accelerate, your path to a better and higher earning job. And so healthcare is just one of the paths that they're tackling, but so is engineering, manufacturing, et cetera.
So that's great in the big verticals in the big verticals with the big employers. What about other kind of non-traditional workers?
Right. You're absolutely right. The traditional workforce system is largely designed to funnel workers into corporate roles, and is not historically designed to support workers who are looking to become solopreneurs or enter, small medium businesses. Small medium businesses employ roughly 60% of the population, and so it's really important that we have solutions that help upskill, train, and support those workers as well. One of the recent companies that we invested in to target this overlooked and underserved segment of the workforce is a company, an AI native company called Manifest Ed. It's an AI powered business companion and upskilling platform for small and medium sized businesses. They are leveraging AI to train SMB workers. Historically, it's been very hard to train workers at small, medium businesses because of the delivery mechanism. But now they're able to leverage technology as a way to do so. And at the same time, they're providing real critical business guidance and feedback to the owners of the SMB shops. So think about, staple businesses that are found in Main Street of the U.S., across the U.S., things like doggy daycares, salons, etc. Historically, there haven't been, clear solutions to support those workers, but now, we're able to do so, filling a critical gap in the market.
That's fascinating because, and you mentioned solopreneurs, and I've been interested in that trend because I think folks don't quite comprehend the staggeringly high number of new business starts of recent years. Something like more than 5 million a year after many decades of it being sort of mired in the 3 millions a year. And so there's been a kind of explosion of entrepreneurship. It's not the Silicon Valley startup kind of brand. It's a lot of cases, as you mentioned, it is somebody starting their own business. Some of that, I think, by necessity. Maybe there wasn't a different job, coming out of the pandemic, but some of it, I think, by choice and a sort of strike for independence. And I wonder how that trend can be nurtured and turned into, like a broader economic uplift strategy, as opposed to just a survival getting by strategy. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Since the pandemic, which is now roughly about 5 years ago, we've seen a real explosion in solopreneurs, gig workers. In fact, roughly 41 million adults in the US identify as one person company owners. And again, you raise a good question. Is this due to necessity or desire? From our standpoint, we've seen a lot of data that shows individuals, particularly young folks, are not looking for traditional W-2 jobs. They are looking to have a little bit more ownership on their destiny, where they live, how they work, when they work, and that is creating a real opportunity for technology solutions that serve these solopreneurs and gig workers. And so we see that as a really interesting segment of the market, and one that is, again, underserved, but is now ripe for entrepreneurs to deliver solutions. And so we're seeing a wave of services, payroll, benefits, taxes, retirement planning, built specifically for solopreneurs. And this shift is helping independent workers access the financial security that has historically been tied to W-2 jobs. And that, has typically been the trade-off. Do I take a W-2 job that gives me benefits, gives me security, or can I do what I really want to do, what I really dream of doing, but take on a little bit more risk? And so now there's a universe that exists where you can do what you want to do and still have access to benefits, 401k, et cetera. In fact, we recently invested in a company called BSolo. BSolo is an all-in-one solution for self-employed solopreneurs to access benefits, to maximize tax savings via LLC or S corps, and drastically reduce the administrative burden and uncertainty that these individuals face. Why is that important? It's important because if we want these workers and solopreneurs to succeed and grow income and grow wealth, we want to take off, the administrative burden from their focus, and allow them to focus on what they're passionate about and growing their business.
That's fascinating, and in particular, in the context you say about young people, and I happen to have one in my household here, and I will say that the calculation around college, I think, has changed for many people in their generation, and I wonder how you see this, historically, big premium for college education, but now maybe a whole cohort of folks thinking that there are other pathways, like you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think again with new technological innovations, with AI, tools that are no code platforms, AI co-pilots, and digital marketplaces, they're lowering the barrier to launching and scaling solo businesses. And so, one path, perhaps a more traditional path, is to go to college, get a traditional career, a W-2 job. But now, with the advent of some of these solutions, it's much easier to turn your gig work into a real business, and to grow and scale that business to create, real meaningful wealth and value for yourself and future employees as well.
This is great, Yigal, because we've been talking a lot in this context of this playbook for shared prosperity about equity, about building equity, about ownership, and you're kind of bridging the gap here. There's both higher wages, higher incomes, and wealth building opportunities.
That's right. We see, the opportunity here is giving someone access to quality job, better wages, and benefits as a way to increase their earning potential and ultimately their wealth. And we see that have generational impact as well. So when we're able to do that for, family members, we often see that children now have better access to education opportunities, and the cycle continues to go from there.
That's great. And so I guess the last question in the capper is, um, these strategies sound compelling. Are they investable? Are your LPs and can other investors kind of make a return on some of these wealth building and income generating strategies?
Absolutely. We are a risk adjusted return fund. We are a market rate fund. We're able to deliver both outsized impact and financial returns to our LPs because we are focusing on a massive segment of the market. I think people don't understand that over 140 million adults in the US are earning less than 55K a year. And on an individual basis, perhaps that is a small purchasing power, but collectively, this represents a massive market. And if we're able to position these individuals into better jobs and career pathways, we're solving real systemic problems that historically workforce agencies in higher ed hasn't been able to address. And that creates massive value and opportunity for our entrepreneurs, and ultimately for our LPs as well.
Well, thank you, Yigal Kerszenbaum of JFF Ventures. You've sketched out several beautiful plays in the playbook for shared prosperity, and we'll be watching to see how the plays play out. And please come back and keep us updated soon. Thanks.
Will do. Thank you very much, David.
That's going to do it for this Agents of Impact podcast. Thanks to all of our listeners and to our producer, Isaac Silk. We'll be back with more conversations soon. In the meantime, why not go all in and subscribe to Impact Alpha to get our award-winning daily brief in your inbox each morning? I think you'll find it valuable. Till next time, I'm David Bank.